Welcome, dear friends, to the heart of Africa, a land where trees whisper secrets. Animals speak in riddles, and lessons are learned not in classrooms, but through the cleverness of beasts and the wisdom of silence. Today, we journey into a tale woven with humor, pride, and a twist that will make you think twice before laughing too soon. This is the story of the hyena who laughed too soon, a legendary folktale passed down through generations, now brought to life just for you. So sit back, listen closely, and let the winds of Africa carry you into a world where even the loudest laughter can't drown the quiet. Truth. Let the story begin. In the heart of Africa, beneath the golden sun and among the whispering grasses of the savannah, there lived a creature who believed the world owed him applause. His name was Hyena. Hyena was not like the others. He was strong, yes, and clever cunning. In the way of tricksters, but what made him different, truly different, was his laughter. Loud, obnoxious, and echoing across the plains. It was said that Hyena could laugh a lion into shame and an elephant into confusion. But what Hyena possessed in laughter? He lacked in humility. You see, in those days, the animals lived in a way not so different from humans. They had meetings, they had stories, and most of all, they had rivalries. Hyena was the sort to walk through the village square as if it were a runway. Chest out, chin up, tongue wagging, and laugh rolling like thunder. And oh, how he mocked. He mocked the slow walk of tortoise. Old shell, will you reach your food before the moon rises? He mimicked the twitchy ears of hare, always jumping, never thinking. Even monkey, clever and nimble, was not spared. Swing all you want, banana brain. The other animals chuckled nervously or looked away. Few dared challenge him. After all, Hyena had outsmarted leopard in a race, tricked jackal into giving up his den, and even once convinced a group of vultures that he was the spirit of an ancestor. But as the days passed, the animals grew tired of Hyena's pride. Then, one day, under the shade of the great baobab tree, the council of elders met. Led by the wise old Lion King, they sat in a circle, silent. As the wind whispered through their manes and feathers, "Hyena has brought shame to our community," growled Lion. His arrogance disturbs the harmony. "We need to teach him," murmured Owl, eyes half closed, "that wisdom is not in the noise of the mouth, but the silence of the heart." A contest was declared a challenge of wisdom, open to all, but designed ... for Hyena. The animals gathered, buzzed with excitement. The Savannah Festival would host it. There would be 3 tasks, each more difficult than the last, and the prize: the title of Wisest of the Wild, a title that would command respect from every corner of the animal kingdom. And of course, ... Hyena was the first to sign up. He strutted to the signpost, dipped his paw in mud, and slapped it onto the tree bark. "Make it quick," he said with a grin. "I'll win before the tortoise even makes it to the starting line." Little did he know, a real race had already begun. As the sun rose over the savannah the next morning, golden light stretched across the land like a warm blanket. Birds chirped with excitement, and whispers of the challenge drifted from tree to tree. The Savannah Festival had begun. Beneath the mighty baobab tree, animals from every corner of the land gathered. Elephants stood in a proud circle. Monkeys chattered in the treetops. Zebras formed neat lines, and even the snakes coiled silently near the roots. Everyone wanted to witness the challenge that would humble or perhaps glorify the proud hyena. Lion King sat on his elevated stone seat, flanked by Owl the judge and Chameleon the scribe. Let the contest of wisdom begin. The lion roared, his voice echoing into the sky. Task 1. The riddle of balance. Each competitor was given a bowl of water, shallow, wide, and full to the brim. The task: to carry it across a rocky path without spilling a single drop. Easy. So the rocks were jagged, uneven, The wind was sharp, and the audience's whispers were loud. Hyena looked at the path and snorted. "Is this a joke?" He gripped his bowl in his mouth, pranced forward with dramatic flair, and began his walk. At first, his steps were light, but when he saw monkeys struggling behind him, he laughed. That was his mistake. A drop spilled, then another, by the time he reached the end. The bowl was half empty. Tortoise, meanwhile, said nothing. He moved with patience, step by slow step. Eyes forward, mouth closed. His bowl trembled, but not a single drop spilled. The crowd watched in awe. The quietest creature had passed the first task flawlessly. Hare and monkey also struggled, their quick feet too bouncy for balance. Lion King gave a slow nod. Sometimes it is the slow who see the furthest. Hyena grumbled. Luck, nothing more. But the elders wrote scores, and the animals whispered, Task 2, the challenge of kindness. The second task was announced. Each of you must help a stranger in need before the sun sets. You will be watched. It sounded simple, but this was the savannah. Not every plea for help was as it seemed. Hyena, ever cunning, had a plan. He found a young gazelle pretending to limp. Quick, he said, licking his lips and smiling falsely. Lean on me. He carried her a few steps, then turned to the bird watching nearby and barked, You saw that? Good. Write it down. Then he dropped the gazelle unkindly and trotted off. The bird a secret judge shook its head. Tortoise, however, heard a faint cry from within a thicket. A baby bird had fallen from its nest. He took hours climbing, slipping, struggling. But at last, he pushed the bird gently into a safe hollow. No one saw it, at least. That's what Hyena believed. But high above Owl, the judge circled. At sunset, the judges gathered. Hyena Lion said, You helped, but without heart. I did the task, Hyena snapped. Check your rules. A P Tortoise gave more than help, he gave time. And once again, the crowd murmured. Even Monkey looked at Hyena differently now. Task 3, the final trial. The Lion King stood. This last challenge, he said, will be ... silence. A riddle will be told. But you may only answer once. Speak too soon, and you forfeit. Riddle echoed across the savannah. I am not seen, but I can be heard. I cannot be touched, yet I move the world. I live in silence, but I break it too. What am I? Hyena smirked. Easy. He licked his lips. The wind blew. Tortoise sat still. The crowd waited, and Hyena ... laughed, a loud, triumphant, mocking laugh. I've got it, he yelled. It's the wind. I win. But as soon as the words left his mouth, net fell, hidden above the circle. A trap made of vines had been laid by the elders. Hyena was caught mid-laughter, tangled and dangling. Gasps and laughter echoed. From the crowd this time, at him, you laughed ... Too soon, Lion said calmly. The hyena dangled awkwardly in the net, his tail twitching, his laughter now replaced by shocked silence. The proud grin had melted from his face like butter under the sun. Below him, the animals erupted not in fear, but in laughter of their own. Who's laughing now? Murmured Hare, nudging Monkey. Even the birds that had been watching from the branches tilted their heads as if in disbelief. The mighty, mocking hyena caught like a careless thief. Lion rose, slow and regal, and stepped forward. His golden eyes fixed on Hyena, not with anger, but with wisdom older than time. You were warned, said the Lion King, that wisdom is not in quick answers, but in deep thought. You rushed. You laughed, and you fell into your own trap. I didn't know it was a trick. Hyena yelped, struggling to get free. It was not a trick, said Owl the judge, flapping down beside him. It was a test. One you failed, because your pride was louder than your thinking. Tortoise was brought forward. Calm, steady, unshaken. "Do you have an answer to the riddle?" Lion asked. Tortoise nodded slowly. "The answer is..." The voice. The crowd gasped. Even Lion's eyebrows lifted. "You are correct," said Owl. "It is the voice that is not seen but heard, that cannot be touched but moves hearts, that lives in silence yet breaks it." Tortoise bowed his head humbly. Lion turned back to Hyena. "You answered too soon. And more so, you laughed before you understood. That is why you lost." The net was gently lowered. Hyena, sulking and embarrassed, landed on the dusty ground. No one mocked him now, but neither did anyone celebrate him. He slunk away from the center of the circle. Ears down, eyes averted. Then Lion raised his paw. "The title of wisest of the wild shall go to one who speaks less and listens more, one who helps not for applause, but for kindness." The animals leaned in. To Tortoise. A cheer erupted like thunder across the land. Elephants trumpeted, monkeys beat their chests, and birds circled overhead in celebration. Tortoise, ever humble, smiled softly. But just as the crowd celebrated, something unexpected happened. The twist. That night, as the stars blinked over the savannah, Hyena sat alone near the river. He stared into his reflection, still hearing the laughter that had echoed at his expense. And from the shadows, an old voice spoke. "You thought the lesson was over." Hyena turned. It was the chameleon, wise, unpredictable, ever watching. "You were the test," Chameleon whispered. "But you were also the student. Do you still think yourself clever?" Hyena lowered his head. "No, I was foolish." "Then perhaps," said Chameleon, eyes shifting color, "you have finally begun learning." And without another word, he disappeared into the night. The days that followed the Savannah Festival were quiet. Quieter than usual. Hyena, once the loudest voice across the plains, had vanished from the gatherings. No one saw him at the watering hole. He no longer taunted Monkey from the treetops, nor mocked Tortoise's slow pace. The savannah had lost its echo of laughter, but it hadn't lost its memory. Tortoise, now bearing the title Wisest of the Wild, became a figure of quiet admiration. Animals came to him for advice, sitting patiently under the baobab tree, listening to his slow, measured words. He never boasted, he never mocked, he simply helped. And so, a new season dawned, one of calmness and respect. Lion King, pleased with the outcome, declared a day of humility to be celebrated every full moon, in remembrance of the day when silence proved stronger than sound, but deep in the shadows of the mountain caves. Hyena was undergoing his own transformation, ashamed. He had retreated to the edge of the Kingtama place where only whispers of the wind and old bones remained. His laughter had turned into questions. And for the first time in his life, he listened more than he spoke. Each morning, he awoke to the sound of nothingness. No cheers, no jokes. Just the rustle of wind and the stirring of thoughts. He remembered Lion's words, "You laughed before you understood." And Chameleon's whisper, "You were the student." And slowly, ever so slowly, Hyena began to change. He started by watching. Not spying, but observing. He watched the way the ants worked together, no leader, yet perfect order. He watched the birds raise their young, gentle in speech, firm in protection. He even watched a warthog save a frog from drowning in a puddle. No one saw it, no one praised it, but it was done out of pure instinct and kindness. One night, under a sky bursting with stars, Hyena finally spoke, not to boast, not to mock, but to the wind itself. "If I could go back," he whispered, "I would listen before I laughed. I would help before I asked what I'd gain. I would wait ... before I jumped." The wind, in return, said nothing. But somewhere, high above, The moon seemed to glow just a little brighter. The next morning, Hyena made a decision. He returned, not with fanfare, not with songs, but with silent steps, his tail low, his voice gentle. He went first to Tortoise. The wise one was resting under the baobab tree, shell glistening with morning dew. Hyena approached and lay down before him. "I have nothing to give," Hyena said, "only an apology." Tortoise opened his eyes slowly and looked at him. "You have something greater than a gift," he said quietly. "You have growth, but I don't deserve." "Forgiveness," Hyena muttered. Tortoise smiled. "Forgiveness isn't deserved, it's given." And just like that, the air around them shifted. Word spread that Hyena had returned not the old one, but a new version. He asked for no titles. He made no jokes. He simply helped. Quietly, he fixed Monkey's treehouse when a branch snapped. He fetched water for Tortoise on hot days. He even protected Haresborough from a prowling jackal one night at first. The animals were skeptical. But actions, as they say, speak louder than laughter. And so slowly, the circle reopened. Lion King watched from afar and nodded. "This," he said, "is wisdom reborn." Seasons passed. The savannah turned golden with dry winds, then lush again with rain. Life moved forward, as it always does. But some things had quietly transformed forever. Among the animals, Hyena was no longer feared for his cruelty, nor mocked for his downfall. He had become something else, something better. He had become trusted. One day, Lion King summoned the animals again beneath the great baobab tree. Not for a contest, not for a warning, but for a celebration. The day of humility had arrived. Creatures of all sizes and shapes gathered: elephants, lizards, buffalo, meerkats. Even the birds circled above. A feast was prepared from the generous offerings of each clan. Fruits, nuts, roots, berries, and honeycombs stacked high. Tortoise, now older and wiser still, sat beside the Lion King, and beside him, in silence, sat Hyena. When Lion stood to speak, the entire savannah fell into stillness. "Today," he began, "we celebrate not victory or strength, but growth." He turned his gaze toward Hyena. There was a time when laughter was used as a weapon, when pride was louder than kindness. But even the loudest laugh cannot drown the truth forever. Hyena bowed his head. Lion continued, "It is not in never falling that we are measured, but in rising after the fall. And in this, Hyena has shown us all the deepest wisdom of all." The crowd didn't cheer immediately. They were still unsure until Tortoise leaned forward, placed a gentle paw on Hyena's shoulder, and said, "I would trust him with my life." That was when the applause began. Not loud, but warm, the kind that builds slowly and means something real. Monkey clapped. Hare cheered. Even Owl nodded in quiet approval. For the first time in his life, Hyena smiled without mockery and laughed. But this time, it was not laughter made of pride. It was soft, humble. Free. Later that night, around the fire, the young ones asked the elders, "Tell us again, how did Hyena become so wise?" And the answer was always the same. He laughed too soon, and that laughter taught him silence. And in the silence, he found himself. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. If you watched till the end, please comment "end" so that we could understand you were with us till the end. As well as, please let us know, where are you watching from? Before leaving, please hit the subscribe button. Comment your thought and share with your nearest and dearest one. See you in the next one. Until to the next one, stay happy. Goodbye. It is not in never falling that we are measured, but in rising after the fall. And in this, Hyena has shown us all the deepest wisdom of all. The crowd didn't cheer immediately. They were still unsure until Tortoise leaned forward, placed a gentle paw on Hyena's shoulder, and said, "I would trust him with my life." That was when the applause began. Not loud, but warm, the kind that builds slowly and means something. Real. Monkey clapped. Hare cheered. Even Owl nodded in quiet approval. For the first time in his life, Hyena smiled without mockery and laughed. But this time, it was not laughter made of pride. It was soft, humble. Free later that night, around the fire, the young ones asked the elders, "Tell us again, how did Hyena become so wise?" And the answer was always the same. He laughed too soon, and that laughter taught him silence. And in the silence, he found himself. Thanks for watching. Hoped you liked it. If you watched till the end, please comment "end" so that we could understand you were with us till the end. As well as, please let us know, where are you watching from? Before leaving, please hit the subscribe button. Comment your thought and share with your nearest and dearest one. See you in the next one. Until to the next one, stay happy. Goodbye.